for all of you to know, because Ramadan starts inshallah from this Tuesday. First is that we continue to do the Fajr, Maghrib and Isha prayers. Please arrive at least 10 minutes before the Iqama timings. And the Iqama right now is at 6 a.m. for Fajr and 9:10 for Isha, but they are changing from Tuesday. So that means they'll be at 5:45 for Fajr, 10 minutes after Maghrib prayer, and it is 9:20 for Isha. Second thing, there are no iftar in the masjid. So please break your fast in your cars and then join us for the prayers. We will be registering even before the prayer timings. So just register, go outside, have your iftar and come back to join for prayers. The next thing, there are no Taraweeh prayers, just considering the safety indications and the precautions because the second wave is coming. There are lots of people who are still not vaccinated, and being together as a group increases the likelihood of transmission of disease. So we have decided not to hold Taraweeh prayers. We'll do the normal Isha prayers, then you can go home and pray your Taraweeh. And along with it, the bathrooms are still not accessible, so please do wudu and come for the prayers. You must have all seen about the iftar vouchers. So especially for people who cannot break their fast and who are like individual students and all, we'll still do the iftar voucher program. So please donate, go to the website and you'll find the details there. And we'll have all of these details also stuck up in the masjid, inshallah, on the weekend. So on Fridays and Saturdays, right now we are planning to distribute through Afghan Kawab. So Brother Ahmed Mir has kindly agreed to accept those vouchers. So please donate, and whoever wants to avail of this facility, just sign up. The details are there on the website. And last of all, we need volunteers, so contact Brother Murad, Brother Bafiullah, anyone of us from the board to help out in the signing process. Please don't just arrive for prayer, because all of the things that you are doing for the sake of Allah. Even all of us here are just volunteering our time and efforts. So the more people we have, the easier it will be for us. And now please welcome the brother from Furqan Foundation. So the Sheikh, he himself has been just a brief introduction. He is from the honored city of Makkah, from one of the branches of As-Sada al-Ashraf, the honored descendants of the Prophet. He later on moved to Egypt, their family. He did his education in Alexandria, Egypt. He studied under several scholars and holds several ijazat and certifications from eminent scholars, including His Eminence Sheikh Yasin Rushdi of Alexandria. So please welcome Brother Nadir Al-Malhouni.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي
بسم الله. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، هو الواحد الأحد وهو الفرد الصمد الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا محمدا عبده ورسوله السابق للأنام نوره ورحمة للعالمين ظهوره. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعه. أما بعد. Praise and thanks are all to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We praise Him, we thank Him, and we seek His help, aid, and guidance. And we seek refuge in Him subhanahu wa ta'ala from the evils of our own souls and from the evils of the bad deeds that we do and we commit each and every single day. Whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides, none can lead astray. And whoever He, glorified and most high be He, leads astray, none can guide. We bear witness and testify that there is no God except Allah, that there is no deity worthy to be worshipped except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the one and only, the eternal, the absolute. He begets not, nor is He begotten, and there is none that is comparable to Him. And we bear witness and testify that Muhammad is His slave and final messenger. Peace and blessings be upon him. Peace and blessings be upon the prophets and messengers before him. Peace and blessings be upon his household, his family, his companions. And peace and blessings be upon those of us who follow his righteous sunnah, his teachings and tradition, to the last day. Ameen. To proceed, my dear respected brothers and sisters, if they're ready. يقول عز من قائل, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says في القرآن الكريم في سورة البقرة, chapter 2, the Kaaba. يا أيها الناس اعبدوا ربكم الذي خلقكم والذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. يا أيها الناس, O people. And the call here from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the generic, most generic call for each and every single human soul, Muslims and non-Muslims, believers and disbelievers. Ya ayyuhan nas, O people, u'budu rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum. Worship your Lord who created you. Walladhina min qablikum, and who created those whom were before you. Why? What is the purpose? What is the goal behind worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you may achieve taqwa, piety, righteousness, self-consciousness, self-restraint, fearing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, shielding ourselves from His wrath and from His punishment. Indeed, He is the most forgiving, the most merciful. Yet, He is also the one of the most severe of punishments. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spare us that. Ameen. The topic of this very khutbah is of crucial importance. We'll try to condense it given the time. It's a story. And we like stories. I hope I'm not going to put you to sleep. That's not my intent. But a lot of times when we hear the stories of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ and our righteous predecessors, some of us may feel that, well, that is so remote. Maybe it doesn't apply to our modern day dynamic in this day and age. But let me tell you, all of those stories and these stories are very relevant to us. And if there is one that I particularly like to share, it is this one. And in each and every event, you'll find a close relevance to our modern day Western or American dynamic. It's about a kid, a young man, who was born in the city of Yathrib. That was the old name of the city before the Prophet ﷺ migrated to it, and then it became Al-Madinah, Al-Munawwara, Al-Madinah. He had black eyes, curly hair, and he impressed whoever he met, not by his looks, but by his genius. He was a genius in his own right. He accepted Islam as a young, very young man. Not at the hands of the Prophet ﷺ, but at the hands of Sayyidina Mus'ab ibn Umayr, who was the ambassador of the Prophet ﷺ to Medina, to Yathrib, before the migration of the Prophet ﷺ to it. And this is the very first event in that, for lack of a better term, kid's life that is relevant to us. Very. He accepted Islam at the hands of other than the Prophet ﷺ. We live in a non-Muslim majority country, and we are a minority. And we have an everyday chance to educate by our actions, rather than by our words, these people here in this country. Our neighbors, our co-workers, our colleagues, our classmates, about Islam. Really do that. Really have sincerity in that. Because the Prophet ﷺ said in more than one narration, I choose this one, لَأَنْ يَهْدِيَ اللَّهُ بِكَ رَجُلًا خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا وَمَا فِيهَا. Surely if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides one person, just one single person, through you, it is better for you than this dunya, than this world, and what it contains. And that's all the bling bling, yup, as they say. That's everything. That's better than everything. After this young man accepted Islam, him and about 70 people from Yathrib, from Medina, we can call them Yathribites for the sake of lingo, they decided to journey from Yathrib to Mecca. And the purpose of that journey was not to sightsee. It was not just going fun on a road trip. And it was not to visit family and friends. And it was not to go shopping. Trust me, I'm from Dallas, Texas. We have a big, gigantic mall called the Galleria Mall. And there are very nice upscale hotels around it just to accommodate travelers that are going to go shop at the mall. People travel just to go shop. These about 70 people from Yathrib, including women with them who are immediate family, they journeyed from Medina to Mecca, from Yathrib to Mecca, 1 year before the hijrah of the Prophet ﷺ. 1 year before that. And if I want to test you in, which hijri are we on, because we all know that we are in 2021, but I will let you guess which hijri are we on, and consequently 1 year before that is how long ago. They journeyed for one reason and one reason only, and that is to meet with the Prophet ﷺ in person. In the valley of Mina, for those of us who went to Hajj, we know where Mina is, at a particular spot called Al-Aqaba. It's in the outskirts of Mecca. In what is commonly known as, in our Islamic history, Bay'at al-Aqaba al-Thaniyah, the second Aqaba pledge. The reason for the trip was to pledge allegiance to the Prophet ﷺ. That's it. Shake his blessed hand, only the men, not the women, because the Prophet ﷺ would not touch a woman or shake hands with a woman who's not from his immediate family. And pledge allegiance to him. They vowed that they would support and defend the Prophet ﷺ and this message of Islam at any cost. We are sitting here today in Charlottesville, Virginia, nice and cozy, in this nice, beautiful masjid, mashallah, as Muslims. As Muslims. Because of what they did and their sacrifices. Taking this religion on their shoulders. We could have been here in the same in the same spot, but maybe not as Muslims. If there is any difference between us and those companions of the Prophet ﷺ, the early ones, it is that pledge of allegiance that was engraved in their hearts, and they acted upon it each and every single day. You see, we fast. We are going to fast, inshallah ta'ala, soon. Ya Rabb, Allahumma ballighna Ramadan. May Allah make us alive until we reach Ramadan. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept us in that blessed month. We fast. They fasted. We pray. They prayed. We go to Hajj. They went to Hajj. Maybe we actually go to Hajj more than them. We give our zakat, hopefully in full. They gave their zakat. What is the difference between us and them? If there's any core difference, it is that pledge of allegiance to the Prophet ﷺ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, talking to and about the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, saying, لا يستوي منكم. You are not the same. Even amongst the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, there are different categories. He says subhanahu wa ta'ala, لا يستوي منكم. You are not the same. من أنفق من قبل الفتح وقاتل. Whoever spent and fought before the establishment, before the Fath. And the Fath here in this ayah is not Fath Makkah, it's not the opening of Makkah, but rather Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, the Treaty of Hudaybiyah in year 6 Hijri. من أنفق من قبل الفتح وقاتل. Whoever spent and fought before the Fath. أولئك أعظم درجة من الذين أنفقوا من بعد وقاتلوا. Those are of greater ranks and greater levels than those who spent and fought afterwards. After the establishment, after the empowerment, after things became nice and dandy, as we say. A pioneer is very different from a follower. The mentality is completely different. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the ayah, وَكُلًّا وَعْدَ اللَّهُ الْحُسْنَى. And Allah promised both categories of Sahaba, both categories of companions of the Prophet ﷺ, pioneers and followers, al-husna. And that is al-jannah. But the rank is different. The level is different. When the Prophet ﷺ said about Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, for example, he said, ما طلعت الشمس ولا غربت على رجل بعد النبيين أفضل من أبي بكر as-Siddiq. The sun did not rise nor set up on the face of a man who is below the prophets in rank better than Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. No one has that but Abu Bakr until the day of judgment. When the Prophet ﷺ said about Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab, when he said, لو كان بعدي نبي لكان عمر. If there was a prophet to come after me, it would be Umar. Once again, no one has that but Umar until the day of judgment. And it wasn't because of extra salah, or extra siyam, or extra hajj, or extra ritualistic acts of worship that they did. It was because of something that was engraved in their hearts, that made them act in a particular way all the time. It's that pledge of allegiance to the Prophet ﷺ that we have to have. We are in the same boat like those companions of the Prophet ﷺ. We're large in numbers, that is true. They were few. But the situation is pretty simple. And it's our choice to pledge allegiance to the Prophet ﷺ. Or not. Back to the story of the young man. And intentionally, I'm not revealing the name, but maybe at some point. I'll let you guess for a while. Now finally, the Prophet ﷺ migrated to Medina. To this kid's town, to this kid's city. And imagine if I tell you the Prophet ﷺ is migrating to Charlottesville. And is going to make it his headquarters. What would you do? Like seriously, what would you do? Take him sightseeing, invite him to lunch, take him out to dinner, take a selfie with the Prophet, alayhi salatu wassalam. What would you do? This kid, being the genius that he was, he knew exactly what to do. And that is to stay in the company of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam like glue, as we say. To learn Quran, to learn Hadith, to learn fiqh, jurisprudence, halal and haram. Until he became one of the most well-versed amongst the companions of the Prophet ﷺ at a very young age. They used to refer to him for legal judgments in his own town. And at one point, the Prophet ﷺ conferred upon him a title that once again no one has until the day of judgment but him, and he was merely a teenager at the time. You see, he died all in all when he was around 33 years old in Asham area during the caliphate of Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab in the plague of Amwas, in Ta'un Amwas. He was around 33 years old at the time. If you calculate back the years, when the Prophet ﷺ said about him, the most knowledgeable of my ummah in matters of halal and haram is, and I'm about to reveal the name, so brace yourselves, y'all, is Mu'adh ibn Jabal. Mu'adh ibn Jabal. He was a teenager at that time. A youth. A young man. A young man that we all want to have. A young man that we all want to be. And the Prophet ﷺ said on the day of judgment, he will be the Imam of all scholars, Imamul Ulama. That's it. There's no higher than that. But he had what it takes. He had what it takes. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم أما بعد. My dear respected brothers and sisters, are there any? I'll conclude, inshallah ta'ala, with a part of an ayah. Then we'll have the salah so that we stay on time more or less. And please forgive me for any, or bear with me for, any overages. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, in the form of, for your information, FYI, as we say. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُم لِيَصُدُّوا عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ فسينفقونها ثم تكون عليهم حسرة ثم يغلبون. He says subhanahu wa ta'ala, and before I attempt to translate what the meaning of these words, it's a message of love, not a message of hate. The Quran does not contain messages of hate, just in case there's rumors about it. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, surely and verily those who disbelieve, يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُم, they spend their money, resources, and wealth, لِيَصُدُّوا عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, for the very purpose of turning away from the path of Allah. If we're not clicking with that, just look at the billboards on the side of the highway. Turn on the TV. Go on Netflix. Not asking you to watch, that'd be horrible, but just see what's up. Multi-billion-dollar industries of alcohol, gambling, illegal prostitution, or whatever that is, smoking, vaping, in its variety of forms. Indulging people in their vices so that they don't think much about Allah nor where they're heading, that is, to meet Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if they're not into that, then it is brainwashing and conspiring against Islam and Muslims day and night on radio shows, TV shows, social media, you name it, about how corrupt we are and what kind of horrible belief that we have. So that they don't pick up a Quran and read for themselves to know what we really stand for and what we really believe in. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَسَيُنْفِقُونَهَا. All that money, all these resources, all that wealth, it will be spent. It will be gone, it will be finished. Then what? ثُمَّ تَكُونُ عَلَيْهِمْ حَسْرَةً. And then after some time, ثُمَّ is a tool in Arabic language that gives you sequence of events, ترتيب مع التراخي في الزمن, with much delay in time. So ثُمَّ تَكُونُ عَلَيْهِمْ حَسْرَةً, and then after some time, after a while, they will feel the hasra, the grief, the sorrow, the sadness, the regret. Because all that money is gone and all these resources are finished. Then what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ثُمَّ يُغْلَبُونَ. And then they will be defeated. Because you cannot challenge Allah, the Creator. You lose. And this is not very particular to this very country only. It is also in our so-called Muslim countries as well. It's more or less the same agenda. They're spending, they're doing their best. Now the question is, what are we doing, what are we spending on to counteract that kind of spending? That kind of spending. Indulging people in their vices so that they eventually self-destruct. Or brainwashing them about Islam and Muslims. Our neighbors, co-workers, colleagues, classmates, you name it. So that they don't think about picking up a Quran and reading for themselves. And I'm happy to be standing here today representing a foundation out of Chicago called Al-Furqan Foundation. Well known, mashallah. Even this masjid uses its, their copies of the Quran for its own da'wah purposes. And that's their niche. They share the message of the Quran in modern American English, not archaic English, nationwide with non-Muslims. That's their niche. And this copy is good. It is a good copy. It has been approved by Al-Azhar University in Egypt, which is good, that's neat. It has an introduction at the beginning of what Islam is, what Tawheed, monotheism is, who is the Prophet, alayhi salatu wassalam, for crying out loud. And then it goes into the actual translation of the meanings of the verses. And then at the end, it has a concordance or an index with keywords and page numbers. So the reader can cherry pick jihad, women, hot topics. And then go read about those in their respective pages without having to go through the whole text. This is a very neat copy. And the Furqan Foundation shares this copy nationwide with non-Muslims in a variety of capacities. They send it to college dorms, they send it to retirement homes, they send it to hospitals, they send it to public libraries, hotels, prisons. Yes, and this particular niche did not stop even through the COVID situation. Furqan stands at stores so that people can, grab one as they walk out. They share that message of the Quran in state fairs. They do that in a variety of more than 1.7 million copies have been shared so far, and that's an old number. That's an old number. And they do all of that free of charge to non-Muslims. And we, as a Muslim community, need to pick up the tab. And the tab is very simple. A box has 52 of these. And it costs $104 per box. And I know that some of us here today can sponsor the work of the foundation, the work of da'wah, by sponsoring however many boxes that you can. 30 boxes, you do the math. 30 times 104, 20, 10, 5. But whatever you do not walk out of these doors. There's that table outside here that I'll be standing at after the salah, without sponsoring however many boxes you can. And when you sponsor, inshallah ta'ala, you get your gift. You get one of these. We have Arabic ones, we have Spanish ones, and we have big, nice gifts for those who will sponsor 10 boxes or 20 boxes or more. And when we run out of these, they're hardcover, hardbound, large and medium, the one that you can read from a distance at your house in your tahajjud prayers, Arabic, English, and Arabic only. Really nice for 10 boxes, sponsorships, which is like 1,040, and 20 boxes, sponsorships, which is like 2,080. The Prophet ﷺ said, لَأَنْ يَهْدِيَ اللَّهُ بِكَ رَجُلًا خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا وَمَا فِيهَا. Surely if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides one person through you, it is better for you than this dunya and what it contains. And statistically, people accept Islam after reading the Quran. Yes, some through marriage, but then they read the Quran. And even if they don't accept it, they at least respect it. And we'll be fine with that. When they accept it, they'll be fine, and we'll be fine too, if you know what I mean. Last but not least, my mom is with me on this trip, and she always tells me to remind, everyone of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the first few verses in chapter 2, the Surah Al-Baqarah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the muttaqeen, those who have taqwa. And in one of those descriptions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. And from what we have sustained them with, they spend. And yes, I do have a square with me. I plug it to my phone. You slide your card, you're not going to feel it, as they say, until the statement comes. But I'm not joking. You're not going to feel it until the day of judgment. This is when the statement comes. If it is given out of sincerity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will amplify it and magnify it for you, no matter how small or how large. If you want to do many boxes, but you want to do installments, you can do that as well. We have forms that you can fill out and do the monthly, and you still get your gift right away, inshallah ta'ala. إني داعي فأمنوا اللهم أعز الإسلام وانصر المسلمين اللهم أعز الإسلام وانصر المسلمين اللهم أعز الإسلام وانصر المسلمين. Ya Allah, we ask you to grant victory for the Muslims all over the world. Ya Allah, we ask you to guide non-Muslims all over the world. Ya Allah, we ask you to guide ourselves, our families, our spouses, our kids, our youth, to better be closer to you, Ya Rabb al-Alamin. Allahumma ballighna Ramadan. Ya Allah, make us alive until we reach Ramadan, and Ya Allah, accept us in that line. Allahumma inna nas'aluka min al-khayri kulli, عاجله وآجله, ما علمنا منه وما لم نعلم, ونعوذ بك من الشر كله, عاجله وآجله, ما علمنا منه وما لم نعلم, ونسألك الجنة وما قرب إليها من قول أو عمل, ونعوذ بك من النار وما قرب إليها من قول أو عمل, ونسألك مما سألك به عبدك ونبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم, ونعوذ بك مما تعوذ منه عبدك ونبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم, وما قضيت لنا من قضاء فاجعل عاقبته رشدا. وصل اللهم على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. أقم الصلاة يرحمك.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قامت الصلاة قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
My prayer rug is coming. It's going to take just a few seconds, inshallah. This one would like to share, some of us will say, I sponsored many boxes before. The Prophet ﷺ did Hajj one time in his life, but did the work of da'wah, the effort of da'wah, every single day. So those boxes that he sponsored before, they're gone. We need more boxes so that America reads the Quran.
Just to add, people who are downstairs can come up to donate or take their share, inshallah.
استقيموا استووا straighten the lines. اعتدلوا اقبلوا على الله بقلوبكم يغفر الله لكم. الله أكبر. ولا إله إلا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والعاديات ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات صبحا فأثرن به نقعا فوسطن به جمعا إن الإنسان لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد أفلا يعلم إذا بعثر ما في القبور وحصل ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام